Could you imagine getting a house for $16? Well, check out this video that's been going viral on Instagram and how this guy did it.
Flower Mound's Waterford Drive is lined with well-manicured $300,000 homes. So when a new neighbor moved in without the usual sale, mortgage-paying homeowners had a few questions.
What paperwork is it and how is it legally binding if he doesn't legally own the house? He just squats there.
Lee Lowry and her husband told me the house down the street was in foreclosure for more than a year. The owner walked away, then the mortgage company went out of business. Apparently, that opened the door for someone to take advantage of the situation. Kenneth Robinson told us he's no squatter. He says he moved in on June 17th after months of research about a Texas law called adverse possession.
This is not a normal process, but it's not a process that's not known. It's just not known to everybody.
Robinson says this piece of paper gives him rights to the house. It's an online form he printed out and filed at the Denton County Courthouse for $16. It says the house was abandoned and he's claiming ownership.
I'll tell you what, adverse possession is a real thing and it exists everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't do anything wrong. He's just knowledgeable. And I feel like a lot of people...
He's taking advantage of what's possible and what that actual law is and what it does. And especially in this situation where the mortgage company like went out of business.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely a unique circumstance. I'll tell you what, though, I don't know about you, but I read that headline and just like this whole thing, it's like they're trying to get some rage bait there.
Yeah, for
Black
sure.
man purchased a $300,000 home and white neighbors react.
Well, you gotta get the clicks because you're gonna stay to see what they say. But I thought it was interesting how the news covered the neighbors, and they're like, oh yeah, this doesn't seem fair. But sometimes just being,
if I was a neighbor, right?
Being knowledgeable of like your city laws and how to, I mean, a lot of people do any property like acquirement that way. I'm sure you saw a lot of that in 2008.
Oh yeah,
when banks are closed. And
well, there's usually somebody who comes in and like it ends up washing out to where you know, like they have to prove ownership and like, you know, chain of title and those types of things can kind of like come into play. I'm curious what would happen on this one. We'll have to stay in tune. So she slowly but surely got the purse back, right?
Honestly,
let me show you this house. Instead of robbing things, why don't I show you a different way to make money? You can make some equity.
It's funny. Digital marketing and just social media in general is crazy. Because I'm sure, as we've seen Kayla's social media kind of blow up and she gets DMs and contacts people, I'm sure consistent content like this, you get people in your DMs like, oh, I want to work with someone who gets it. Sometimes a sense of humor and personality is all you need to sell yourself.
Totally. I mean, and you know, the other thing about this is like these things are going wild, right? When you have like, it's almost kind of like replaced the creative mailers, the creative, you know, leave behinds, etc., where people are truly getting a lot of business off of that creativity. I mean, it's marketing like 101, right? You know, I saw a video. I forget who it was. It's actually a very, very, total influencer guy. I watch his stuff all the time. I can't think of his name, but his stuff's fantastic. And the whole bit is like, well, would you take a top salesperson or a top marketer person? And a lot of people are like, oh, sales. And his whole thing was, well, you give me a room of mediocre people with really good marketing and good leads that's sharing the message and the value proposition. They're going to outperform the top killers because those top killers, a lot of times they have no leads to work, right? And so when you really look at like sales and marketing, I think it's a misnomer in the industry where a lot of times people will kind of bundle them together and they are absolutely two separate things. But
yeah,
just my take. Right?
I feel like traditionally it was marketing opens the door to sales. And now you want to close that gap where marketing closes the deal with, you know, the value proposition, like you said. And a lot of times the value of what people are selling on their social media, whether it's their personality, it's their services, it's how organic they are and how they come across, that a lot of times is more powerful than the value proposition. Because like, think about how many influencers are pushing a brand or pushing a product. Nobody cares about the brand. Nobody cares about the product. They care about what someone that they connect with uses. And so that's all the marketing is.
Absolutely.
It's closing that sales gap. You don't have to be convinced because you already quote unquote trust the person that you're watching.
Well, and it is wild, right? Like when you start looking at like the alleys, the streets, the avenues, super highways of ways to create income, there's a lot of people that they'll start going out and selling a system, a strategy, a process, a sales, a marketing. And that becomes their means of revenue, right? And it doesn't mean that their marketing system doesn't work, because I'm here to tell you, like I've subscribed to a lot of those, and that if you follow those processes, they built, right, or they work. And what I find where they really dominate and do so well is like when you have something that's already going well and you could use said marketing, said sales strategy to really amplify what you're doing, really just launches it, into the stratosphere, right? I mean, that's kind of what Zoodealio does, right? Like you have to have a client base, and when you can inspire conversations with instant cash offer solutions, allow them to pick their close date, improve their property, and sell it for more. That's marketing and unique value proposition.
Yeah, it's a utility. It's
exactly.
you have a base of you have a profession that needs help and needs something else to bring to the table, and you've created a tool that gives them another option, gives them another like avenue to create value. And I mean, that's how people are just doing everything these days. It's like just create value, and I don't think people anticipated how many of those streets and avenues there were going to be.
All right, his doorbell video. Look, I mean, a sizable yard. Like, look at this, clear tire marks in the grass. I mean, at least it's not like mud and sand tires, right? Where he's like ripping it out. Look at just casual. Is it? Oh, that's a gal. She gonna bag it up. Bye. Have a nice day.
I'm like, even if she's like, oh, I want to get it done, it'll be quicker. I'm like, not really, not that much quicker. And then the destruction that comes from that.
Either that, or is this like one of those areas where you're like in the country and it's cool to just drive up on everybody's lawn?
That was a nice lawn. I don't know.
I know. That's I'm like, did she just misunderstand? And not only that, like they have to have some policies around this stuff, right?
Oh yeah. You'd be able to reach out to Amazon with that video right away. She's gonna get fired. Yeah. They're probably going to receive some sort of compensation from it.
Well, and the crazy thing is like, I mean, Amazon is, it's a magnificent seven, company. My point is it's a mega cap, valuation, like their policies, procedures, and getting a job there because of all of those things that are in there more times than not is not that easy.
No. And I feel like for the most part, they take care of their drivers. And I mean, I don't know. You just got to have a different, maybe she just having a bad day and just was like, wanted to take it out on somebody. And I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. But when I saw it, I was like, man, people just do not care. Like they do not care about the consequences.
Totally. And especially like if they've reached that threshold, like I'm out of here. But then the part that like blows my mind on this is like, don't you think you're going to get a job later? Right. I mean, this may not be, don't be putting Amazon down for a reference, Chris.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and I'm sure that employers have some sort of way to like look up this level of misconduct. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you might not
Google
find
her name. I promise you, that's going to end up going. And more times than not, people Google people's names now. I mean, maybe if it's like such a run-of-the-mill name, but I mean, I promise you, people are doing that. Like, and especially when you're talking about, when you're submitting your resume, you have what's the word I'm looking for? The referrals,
like references.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. You got me twice today on that. I was like, what's the other word? So anyway, those references, and they'll be like, oh yeah, just Google their name, or you may want to. And people like they're not afraid to share a lot of times. So I guess she's gonna have to be real selective in those references. Speaking of references, Kevin Warsh last week, the new Fed Chair Gov, had his first meeting last week. Rates, as we all know, stayed the same. The biggest thing that I think is kind of the scuttlebug that we'll see what happens is Bank of America is saying that there's going to be 3 rate hikes this year. So, I mean, they're going to meet like 5 more times or 6, I think 5 more times this year. So of those 5, they're saying that 3 of them are going to involve rate hikes. That's a little scary. And to me, that doesn't track because inflation, especially with, how they're refactoring inflation, seems to be cooling. But I don't know. This is going to be one of those, choppy waters right now. I can tell you for sure the stock market in general, crypto market has definitely negatively been reacting. Talk about a roller coaster ride over the last week in the financial markets.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an uncertain time. And honestly, like with the war and everything, I feel like things got delayed, maybe agenda-wise. And now you're coming up to a pivotal point that everybody was anticipating, but it's not rolling how people think. So maybe now they're thinking the opposite. They're thinking,
well, you think now that there's like the peace deal and like they're waiting for it to be like inked and actually carry out, because it was like it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, right? Like, oh, it's open, it's closed, open, close, right? Like, and obviously crude oil has fallen dramatically, which I think will. If all of that happens, right, inflation will fall, prices will end up falling, which is going to take maybe a little bit of time. Yeah. I think that's where a lot of the people, when they're talking and forecasting about the markets, is there's such a delayed response, in a lot of those things because it takes so much time to correct. the hit to the economy.
Yeah. And I think from the housing market perspective, like you have to see rates come down if you want to see
affordability. Yeah. Well, and not only that, like, I mean, I do think Kevin Warsh is, he tends to be like a pro dollar kind of guy. And being a pro dollar guy usually means that they're not going to print, right? They're not gonna, I don't call it quantitative easing anymore. But that means they're not going to print the funny money, and infuse it into the economy as much as we have in the past. So I don't know. We'll see. One last thing I think that we'll touch on before we wrap up today, Chris. I know Zillow has been trying to continue to make waves with some of the tech, especially to maybe fight all of those lawsuits that they're involved in. Right? They're releasing basically a new buyer tool that's basically going to be a suite of services to where you'll be able to it's basically like a transaction management thing where from cost you'll be able to do cost projections specific around your closing, a lot of cool things like that. So we'll see how that takes.
Yeah, I mean, consumers want things to be easy and straightforward, and there's not really a tech path right now that is just a one-stop shop. And I feel like everyone's trying to create that in some way, but they're also trying to, as we've talked about a lot, like there's this balance of, do we get rid of agents or do we keep agents? So it's kind of, I feel like for Zillow, it's like we create the tech first and let consumers decide what's important to them and what's not.
That's actually pretty intuitive on your part, because at the end of the day, if it exists on the platform, an AI will eventually be able to do it, right? Like we're the place of the agent. So are they watching that and seeing what needs to be done? Are they, obviously it's the human input, but again, when AI eventually can take over doing those things, those duties a lot of times for the agent from the digital manual input that the agent would do, obviously the AI agent would be able to do.
And if you've never bought a home before, you have no idea what you're doing. So maybe an agent still provides value by able to, a trustworthy face-to-face thing that you can trust. So there's value on both sides for sure. But I think from the standpoint of like, people have things so easy and at their fingertips right now, that an AI agent for real estate that can explain the transaction, like walk you through all, it kind of have the fiduciary responsibility that an agent has, but it's all within the palm of your hand. And I mean, people still want the ease, but people also still want the organic and the authentic trustworthiness of somebody. And I think when we talk about real estate agents, people are afraid of the commission breath, and they're afraid that they're just going after the money. So when you have such a bad reputation, and then something comes along to remove, the so-called like enemy.
Yep. Well, the bloated cost. Right? That's what it comes down to. Is people getting fat checks for little. The consumers feeling like they're doing little to nothing, which isn't always the case, but it does happen from time to time.
Well, and that's all the headlines right now. By when people are selling their homes by themselves, or or they're buying a home without an agent. The headline's always how much they save.
Yeah.
And that's what that's the average consumer. That's what they care about. They care about the end dollar amount.
Yeah, until they run into an inspection nightmare or a qualification nightmare, something entangled on the title issue that you didn't know about, where you really do need an expert to kind of help you navigate 100%. Those choppy waters. Now, with that said, that's not the overwhelming majority of percentages. Yeah, that is a percentile that happens that percentile that happens of the transactions.
Yeah, and with the commission like lawsuit and everything, it's when you're talking about getting an agent, just make sure you have a good one, because then you're going to run into those issues and you have someone that knows how to pivot, knows how to take on. And it just really what it is, it's a middleman that takes the stress off of the consumer's shoulders.
Yeah, for sure. And that's such a good point that you bring up. Like 80% of people that meet with real estate agents hire the first agent that they meet. And it's actually even higher than that.
Yeah.
So that to me is such great advice is, hey, what do you want? What are you looking to achieve? Then what values are you looking for from that particular agent? Make sure that they exude them, and don't be afraid to meet with 2, 3, 4 of them, because they're not all created equal.
Yeah.
So with that said, what do you guys think? Make sure you drop it in the comments below. And as always, remember to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you are notified every time we drop a new episode. Thanks for tuning in.